Biden promises to shut down coal plants. John Kerry supports him. Karine Jean Pierre has no idea how to explain it away. We're on the verge of an election, and Joe Biden is saying that one of the most key issues for many people in states like Pennsylvania is going away. I don't care about your coal. We're all going to evaporate it shortly. Joe Biden made this statement when he was out giving speeches over the weekend. In front of a crowd, the president acknowledges that coal plants have been shut down across America. They're going to continue to be shut down across America, whether you like it or not, because green energy is all they care about now.
I was in Massachusetts about a month ago on the site of the largest old coal plant in America. Guess what? It costs them too much money. They can't count. No one's building new coal plants because they can't rely on it, even if they have all the coal guaranteed for the rest of the existence of the plant. So it's going to become a wind generation. And all they're doing is going to save them a hell of a lot of money and using the same transmission line they transmitted a coal-fired electric on. We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America.
We're going to be shutting these plants down all across America. That's Joe Biden, our president, mumbling through a litany of reasons before finally getting to that end statement that we're going to be shutting down coal plants all across America. And that obviously is not a good thing for people in places like Pennsylvania who kind of rely on this resource. It's not good for other Americans who want, energy independence, people who want to heat their homes, be able to energize their lives so that they can afford to live, right? It's something that we all need. Now, Biden confirmed that. If there was any doubt about what Biden was saying here, it's all going to be put to bed, because he said in another statement, he's told another woman, absolutely no more drilling. And so we're going to get to that clip in a minute. But first, we have a statement from our sponsor here today. And my friends, I've got an announcement for you. If you have an IRA, a 401k, or a savings account, you know as well as I do, things are scary out there. The Biden administration has already printed more money in the past 2 years than the previous 100 years combined. The national debt hit a record $30 trillion. Inflation is the highest we've seen since 1982. It's only a matter of time before the house of cards comes crashing down. If you have retirement savings, your money could be at serious risk. And so talk to my friends at Goldco. You see it right here on the screen to see how you can protect your retirement with gold and silver before it's too late. Go to robertlikesgold.com. They'll give you $10,000 or more in free silver if you open up a qualifying account. That's robertlikesgold.com. Goldco has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau. Great company. And you can go over there to robertlikesgold.com. You see it on your screen. Thank you for supporting your sponsors, the sponsors of this show. I'm very grateful for them and for your support of them. All right, my friends. And so let's get back into the clip here. If there was any doubt about Joe Biden wanting to evaporate coal and eliminate it from the American infrastructure, that can go to bed. Biden was out over the weekend explaining that there is no more drilling. A woman in the crowd, if you listen very closely at the end of his speech, says, "Hey, Mr. President, what about drilling? What about the energy crisis? What about global warming? Are you going to continue to wreck our planet?" Joe Biden mouths to her at the end, "We're not doing any of that. You can sleep soundly."
And there's nothing beyond our capacity if we work together. So vote. Get out the vote now. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you. No more drilling. There is no more drilling. I haven't formed any new drilling. No,
She says in the background, you could probably hear this closely, something like you authorize 5 more years of offshore drilling.
New drilling.
4 years of offshore drilling.
No,
In the Atlantic or the Pacific, but in the Antarctic and off the Gulf of New Mexico, or off the Gulf of Mexico.
That was before I was president. We're trying to work on that, get that done. Thank you.
That was before I was president. Let's see if we can tease out what she's saying there in the background.
4 years of offshore drilling.
No,
In the Atlantic or the Pacific, but in the Antarctic and off the Gulf of New Mexico, or off the Gulf of Mexico.
that was before I was president. We're trying to work on that, get that done. Thank you.
Before I was president, but no more drilling. Okay, so we've seen those two statements back to back over the weekend. Pretty unequivocal. Biden has two statements. First of all, we're going to shut down the coal power plants. Got that. And no more drilling. And by the way, the drilling that had already been in place, that was done before he was president, and we're working on that. So we're going to get rid of that soon enough. Now, it's not just the president, okay? This is something that has existed across the entire administration. Many people in the Biden administration are working to eliminate coal. Joe Biden himself, of course, has said this many times, but Karine Jean Pierre has tried to walk this back, especially in election season. This is John Kerry, who works in the Biden administration, confirming to the world that coal is going to be gone from the United States very, very soon.
By 2030 in the United States, we will not have coal plants.
2030.
By 2035, President Biden has set a target that we will be, in our power sector, carbon-free.
Carbon-free by 2035? 2030 is when coal is gone.
We will not have coal plants. By 2035, President Biden has set a target that we will be, in our power sector, carbon-free.
Carbon-free. No carbon. 2035. Pretty fast timetable there. Very interesting how that's going to work out for all the people who work in these sectors. So Biden says it. John Kerry, who has a little bit more cognitive powers, is out there implementing all of this stuff. So it's actually taking place. And we're asking ourselves if this is reality. We've got the White House responding to these statements. Karine Jean Pierre tries to walk back President Biden's statements on coal. He said it's all going bye-bye. Doesn't care about Pennsylvania or any other states. It's got to go because climate change is the most important thing to him and this administration. Unfortunately, that doesn't sit well with many Americans. And so the White House has to walk that back like they regularly do most times after Biden speaks. This is Karine Jean Pierre trying to do that.
Very lengthy.
Let's turn this volume. We've got some
Saturday statement.
Interesting audio today. Let's play this one.
Clarifying the president's remarks from the day prior. Can you walk through what the genesis of that was and whether or not you guys thought that perhaps it would be politically problematic had those statements been allowed to stand?
Let me restate the question because it's low. He says, what was the backdrop for that statement that you're going to ban coal, that you're shutting down the coal plants? Is this part of a new policy? Have you detailed this out anywhere before? And did you consider the political implications of this, given the fact that you said that a few days before a very important midterm cycle?
We just wanted to be, you're talking about so we just wanted to be very clear on that, which is why we put out a statement. It seemed like there was some confusion on that. And so, I want to say this. It was, some of you were there. It was loud and hard to hear, I think, or maybe not exactly what was being said. But I currently don't want to get into punditry from here and why we did it or did it on TV. But I spoke to this over the weekend. The president's words, we believe, were twisted.
Twisted? He said it pretty clearly. He said, we want to shut down coal power plants. And there's not going to be any more drilling. And the drilling that's already underway, that was from the prior president, and we're working on shutting that down. So it's pretty clear to me as far as I could tell, but I'm not real sure what she's talking about. Now, the media didn't let that stand, obviously, because she said that they are twisting it. If the media took his statements and they published it, and they're unhappy with how it was published, then it sort of feels like they are manipulating reality. Let's listen to what she said. Now, if the twisting is happening from the journalists, then the journalists are to blame, right? It's not President Biden. Biden made a great statement. He stands by the statement. It was clear. It was unequivocal. There was only 35 marbles in his mouth at that time, not the normal 45. They actually took out 10 marbles so that he could utter out a sentence unequivocal as day. So I don't know what the problem is. You guys twisted it. And the media asks her again about this. Are you sure, Karine? Let me ask you again.
You mentioned about the president's statement or what the president said on Saturday regarding coal. You mentioned a couple times or repeated a couple times today that those words were twisted. So who twisted them? Did Manchin twist them? Did someone else twist them?
Who twisted the words, Karine? You said that the words were twisted. Was it Manchin? Was it the Republicans? Was it the media? Are you pointing your finger at us, you little jerk?
It's how it was reported out
Oh,
as being twisted.
yeah, reporting.
And I want to be really clear.
How it was reported. The media twisted it. So she's specifically saying, you jerks, you twisted it up for us.
Because this is important. If you read the full transcript, the president was very clear commenting on a fact of economics and technology, as it has been from its earliest days as an energy superpower. America is once again in the midst of an energy transition, and the president is determined to make sure that this transition helps all Americans, and he's been very clear about that. And these weren't some novel comments as they were taken and twisted to be. The president has talked for years about this energy transition and the need to support coal communities through it, and so it was twisted by many others, and so we wanted to make sure that there was some clarity.
Clarity about Biden's statements, which I thought were pretty clear. I'm not sure that they were mistaken in any way. I mean, it seemed like he said we're shutting down coal plants. The coal plants, it's okay, shutting that down. All right. So that's Karine Jean Pierre. He meant what I say he meant. Whether he said something differently or not, that's our press secretary speaking for our poor president. Now, things are pretty bad at the White House. This clip came from somebody who does press there. And it's a 10-second clip, super short, but I want you to listen to the background on this. Okay. It sounds like, I don't know what's going on back there. We do morning walk and talks here for members where we are walking around. Oftentimes there's leaf blowers. Oftentimes there's lawn mowers, and sometimes there's wood chippers out there where they're actually putting things in wood chippers. Now, I think things are so bad at the White House that they might actually be using wood chippers. This is Press Secretary Kate, and she's delivering a message in front of the White House, and it sounds like things have gotten pretty bad out there. Heavy machinery, interns or somebody or something, maybe boxes, might be going into wood chippers based on the sound that we hear. Things are looking pretty dreary there.
Well, look, Jim, you're right. Historically, first midterm for a president can be challenging. But look, across the board, what we're seeing is enormous popularity for the Biden agenda.
What's going on back there? It sounds like there's wood chippers back there.
Well, look, Jim, you're right. Historically, first midterm for a president can be challenging. But look, across the board, what we're seeing is enormous popularity for the Biden agenda.
No, there is no popularity for the Biden agenda. That's probably what they're throwing into the wood chipper with the rest of the administration because it's not working well. And that is Kate telling us that it is working well. Everybody loves the Biden agenda, even though nobody is voting for it. Ugh, yikes. So they're having a tough time over there. They're now doing press stings in front of heavy equipment outside on the lawn of the White House. But all right. So we're going to poke around before we are really flying through this show. Boy, I thought it was going to take a lot longer than this. So yeah, we've got a couple more segments before we're going to turn it over to you, my friends, and see what else you have to say about this while we await a possible Trump appearance or announcement even at the J.D. Vance speech here in a minute. But let's check in with what's going on in the Biden administration internationally. We had a very lovely stream with our friend Legal Mindset. Legal Mindset is in South Korea, is my understanding. And there was an interesting development from our Secretary of Defense. This is Lloyd Austin. He's talking about U.S.-South Korean relationships. He says at the time of this heightened tension, as the North Koreans are causing a bunch of ruckus over there for our good friends in South Korea, he says our alliance is ironclad. He says our country, the United States, remains fully committed to the defense of the Republic of Korea, and our extended deterrence commitment is firm. This doesn't sound good. This is Secretary Lloyd Austin, Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, communicating that he stands by the South Koreans.
An outstanding discussion today. We talked about the DPRK's continued provocations and destabilizing actions. And at this time of heightened tension, our alliance is ironclad.
Okay.
The United States remains fully committed to the defense of the ROK, and our extended deterrence commitment is firm. Now, Minister Lee and I...
Yikes. So that doesn't sound all that good. If the U.S. commitment is, well, at least from this administration, has any evidence in history, it's not really that strong. I mean, I remember some time ago, this guy was sharing with us the plans to stop the Russians from invading Ukraine. I remember some time ago, this guy was helping us through the Afghanistan departure. And now they're making promises to the South Koreans, which means, I hope things work out over there. All right. Better than they have worked out previously. Meanwhile, over in Ukraine, very interesting little bromance taking place here between Jake Sullivan and Zelensky. The Biden administration national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, shaking hands with Zelensky, getting a very nice award for his service in giving gobs of money over to Ukraine in a never-ending fashion. Beautiful music. Wow. Thank you, Jake. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So that right there, that's worth $1 billion, $1 billion, $2 billion, $3 billion right there. That card, the card looks nice, but it's probably only like 500 million. Wow. Actually, that card is embossed, as you can see. So it's probably like 750 million. So 3.75 billion. Beautiful. Oh, she gets one too? Oh, hers is smaller. Oh, she says, yeah, whatever. All right, look, what are you giving me, like the hand-me-down? Okay, so $500 million, so about 4.75 billion if you add it all up. A lot of money, but that's nice. That's nice. Jake Sullivan got some very nice awards for his tremendous service, giving billions of dollars to World War III. Love that. All right, we've got one final clip here today. An individual goes by the name of Pat Ryan was at a very interesting debate here out of the 18th Congressional District, and they're asked about Putin and selling American resources and information over to the Russians. Very spicy question that came out, and a very interesting answer.
Each of you can now direct one question to your opponent. I should say an additional question to your opponent. You'll each get 1 minute to respond to that question, and Colin Schmidt, you're going to go first.
Thank you. Pat, you were a senior executive at Data Miner, a company that, according to your own personal financial disclosures, you made over $325,000 a year at. The U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee has found, when you were a senior executive of that company, that your company mined Americans' personal information from social media and sold that information to a Russian company that was founded and funded by Vladimir Putin personally to, according to the Washington Post, attack the West and democratic ideals. Pat, with what Vladimir Putin is doing in Ukraine and his consistent cyber attacks and attacks on American institutions, do you now regret selling our data to Putin?
Pat Ryan.
My opponent continues to pump this complete distruth out there. Look, let's be clear. There's one person on this stage who has, both in combat and in Congress, stood against authoritarians and dictators, from Saddam Hussein to Vladimir Putin. one of the votes I'm
Here,
most proud of
comes back to that
in
money.
Congress in my first few weeks was providing additional funding to brave Ukrainian resistance, fighting for their lives, fighting for their democratic values against the authoritarian regime of Putin. And what's most concerning to me is no Republicans voted for that support, and most of the Republican Party of today's time seems increasingly pro-Putin, if anything.
Oh.
You get a question now for Assemblyman Schmidt.
Great.
So you don't regret it then? You don't regret working for the company where you gleaned a bunch of information off of Americans and then shoved it down the gullets of the Russians. But you did fund the Ukrainians, so he's feeling very happy about that.